Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Dosick, and welcome to Trading the Close, folks. Today, we saw a little bit of red in the markets. Nothing to fret about, but there's some daily topping tails appearing on charts all over the place. So that does typically imply we should see near-term downside. We'll get into those charts here in a minute. Plus, we had news come out that Oracle lost $100 million renting NVIDIA's Blackwell chips. So that's starting to raise questions and doubts how much AI can generate in profit. If Oracle's already losing $100 million, when are they going to be able to turn the corner and start making money? Along with all these AI data centers that are being built out, this is going to be an exponential cost. So now some question marks are starting to float in investors' heads. But first, let's check out the market summary board before we get into charts. We can see here what happened today. We've got the Dow Jones down 0.19%. Nasdaq down 0.63%, S&P 500 down 0.38%, U.S. oil up 0.57%, gold up 0.5%, getting close to that $4,000 level. And then Bitcoin actually saw some pressure, pushing down 2.35% today. Pretty interesting fall there on Bitcoin after making new highs most recently. So we jump into the S&P 500 heat map. And you can see here, as I stated earlier, Oracle was under a little bit of pressure earlier today. They did actually bounce back, but they did have some sharp selling occurring when that news broke about them losing $100 million. Tesla in the red today, down 4.19%. Microsoft down 0.88%. Other than that, we do have some of the other big stocks down slightly. But you see Micron poking in here, down 2.8%. Palantir lifted up nicely, 1.49%. And APP bounced back very nicely with that big decline yesterday with that inquiry regarding how they're gathering customers' data. AMD also still pushing higher, up 3.99% after that deal with OpenAI yesterday. So let's jump into the spiders, SPY ETF. You can see here clearly this topping tail is still in play. Now, yesterday and today, we were testing breaking above that. Fact is, we haven't had that occur yet. But one thing I do want to note, too, that you see this price moving up, and then we've really had a close here, a close here, a close here, looking like we're about to close right around this area. That's a move up in near-term bullish consolidation, but with a hidden topping tail right in the midst. So we'll see how this plays out. The next resistance going up isn't that much further. You can see it's the top end of the parallel right on top of my chart. It's up here around $676.84. So even if we do push up, we could get rejected right here and then ultimately come back down. Like I've said yesterday, I've seen a lot of times when we've had near-term tops to have multiple topping tails on the daily chart present themselves while making that rounded top. But right now, this topping tail is still the one in control. We'll see if that does push price down underneath and close lower than where we have the previous 3 trading days. We'll check that out tomorrow. Next up, the Qs. The Qs here saw some pressure today with tech starting to sell, but it caught support right here on this inclining trend line. And for a reminder for folks, this trend line is a longer-term trend line that goes all the way back to July of 2024. So still, even though we broke above, this area now has turned into support, at least for now. If you notice, we tagged it here. We're tagging it again today. The more often we tag this level, it will actually open the door, increase probabilities for a breakdown underneath that. See where price action opens tomorrow. If we gap underneath this level, we likely are going to continue selling. That level is $603.33. Next up, the SMH. Now, this, guys, is a leading indicator in the stock market. As I've said many times over with this march up on the semis, you can see here clearly on the weekly chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is now the 6th candle on the weekly chart pushing up. And as you see, it's basically being tested with last week's close where we're closing price action today. But then ultimately, what is this, guys? That's another topping tail on the chart, implying downside pressure in the near term. That's also pushed us through this inclining trend line. If I rewind the clock back out, you can see that's from a pivot. back in March of 2025, connected over to this pivot in July of 2025. And then as you see here, price now is coming back down. Next area of support will be the 50% area of this parallel at $332.40. Could hit that as early as tomorrow. Next up, we've got the IWM. Also still has this topping tail intact. You can see a theme that's going on here. Several topping tails on the charts being tested to be broken above, but this one never was having price action close above the topping tail. Today, we had a decent decline in the small cap sector. We did have a down day of 1.07%, caught support and closed just above this gap fill from Thursday. If the selling pressure does continue, support will be down here at the bottom end of this parallel channel at $238.25. Quickly into the Dow Jones, we did negate this topping tail by price action on Friday of last week. But you see here, we did basically just retest this trend line from when it did break. And if I rewind out the clock, we can see here this trend line comes from the April lows. And so you can see when price is going up, it held price all through this range, really consolidating on the bottom part of this trend line. We broke under, and now we started pushing right back up, retesting this trend line. That usually leads to further downside. But I got to tell you, this is a very strong hold so far. Normally, you would see a little plunge down and then a rebound up and then a rejection like that. This sort of price action consolidating almost was implying it was about to break above. But as we see now, it is clearly being rejected. I still see more downside on that with this particular pattern on the Dow Jones. Next up, we've got Bitcoin. Guys, look at this rejection. And really, I got to give it credit to the parallel, folks. Look at this parallel channel that's really been telling us, dictating all information basically since January of this year. Even when we broke beneath, we came back up, tested that parallel, came back in, retested where we broke into the parallel, then bounced up to the top, got rejected. I mean, the story is what you see. We keep getting rejected on this parallel. So this parallel is certainly dominating price action for the near to midterm on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues falling, the next minor supports down here at $119,553. But notice we received a decent bounce up. We got under 121,000. Now we're pushing 122,000 as we speak. So nice bounce up there on Bitcoin. Resistance will be back here at this inclining parallel, $125,000 on the Bitcoin chart. Next up, we've got gold. Another push to new all-time highs. Guys, this is going to mark now 3 decades of double-digit growth in gold. Fascinating, right? Really cool stuff what's going on the chart of gold. So you got to tip your cap to it. But guys, this inclining trend line that you see on the chart, when price accelerates right into it, you're going to have a lot of resistance. You're also going to have a lot of resistance at those major whole round numbers like $4,000. So I can almost guarantee you there's a lot of investors looking to take profit as gold has moved up very nicely. Doesn't mean it can't go higher, but this is certainly going to be an area of resistance, at least in the very near term. Next up, silver. It did have a little bit of a pause day today. You can see price action coming down on the charts, not making new highs like gold did. So it's really just pausing, but that makes sense. This is a big move on silver. All-time highs up here at 49.83, and we're just trading, closing right around 47.73. Minor support will be down here, 46.79. I wouldn't be a buyer there. I would wait to more solid levels of support displayed on the screen down here at $44.26, followed by $41.66. Next up, we've got platinum. Throwing in platinum for a little analysis today because, guys, this has been ripping too. This is the weekly time frame chart. Notice the rip that we've had here in the past couple of weeks on platinum, pushing up so nicely, up to closing today around $1,600. But notice this declining trend line. That's an inverse head and shoulders pattern with a targeted major move at $2,005. Next resistance on platinum, especially if we keep marching straight up, is going to be right here at $1,758.67. Great move on platinum. Notice it didn't retest this declining trend line. That just illustrated how strong this commodity is when it broke and pushed higher on the chart. Next up, U.S. oil. Guys, we've been talking about this declining trend line for months, and we're still going to be talking about it. Today, price action closed slightly above it at $62.05, but really did drop down lower. You can see we got rejected yesterday by this trend line. Price opened right on the trend line, but then plunged all the way down here around $60. Support was then enabled, and push price right back up above that declining trend line. Very near term, nice move for US oil. We'll see where price action puts us tomorrow if we then close right back beneath, in essence, erasing all that good momentum and push that occurred today. Next up, nat gas. Nice push on this commodity today, folks. I was expecting more of consolidation in this area of $3.57. Nat gas had a mind of its own to say, nope, we're pushing up even higher. Very nice accelerated move here on nat gas. Still near-term overbought scenario. Next resistance, $3.83. Followed by $4.08. I do think this could be tagged once we get into the middle of winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. All right, next up, some tech plays. Also, continuing with that theme, topping tails, daily topping tails starting to appear on the chart. Now, these could be minor, near-term topping tails. We'll see how it plays out. But usually when you have a topping tail at the top of a chart, that's a very bearish signal for near to midterm price action. So we'll see how price action reacts tomorrow, as this area of support is the inclining trend line at $178.02. That's going to be the first major test for this bearish signal on the chart of Micron. If I rewind the clock back, you can see all the way back here in 2018, this is a really long-term trend line. So this was a significant breakout that has most recently occurred right around $180. That area will then be support as we did accelerate through with the several different trading days. But since we are extended and near the top of the charts, I likely still wouldn't be a buyer here. I'd be waiting for pullbacks at least down to the 150 range, potentially even as low as 130, where we have these recent pivot highs. That area would be a great spot to start accumulating some Micron. Next up, onto, as you see here, also big, huge plunge today. Again, this is on the back of news of potential eroded margins on AI plays. So if this does turn out to be true, and really, guys, think about this too. And we were talking about this in the office. When you're having all these AI data centers being built out, once they're finalized and once they do get all those chips installed, those semiconductor chips are going to only last about 3 to 5 years because they're going to be worn and used tremendously. So these AI data centers are going to need to recycle these semiconductors, in essence, buy new ones every 3 to 5 years, the cost of which is going to be astronomical, let alone the power cost. So they need to start figuring out how they're going to generate a lot of revenue with this fantastic AI technology, or else this may be kind of almost a doomed project being built out. I'm sure everything will get sorted out, but right now questions are certainly floating, and investors, especially on stocks like in tech stocks, are starting to hit the exit button. So we see here onto big decline. We poked above resistance yesterday at 144.35, but now next support with price action, if it continues lower, it's down here at $125.63. I do think onto, once it does start getting some traction, has some more potential to push up and at least tag this inclining trend line right around $155.79. So be watching for that after it gathers momentum, potentially down here in this $125 range. Next up, MSTR. The decent decline on Bitcoin has also sent MSTR down. Guys, look at this chart. So we've attempted to break out now 3 times. We did once here, another time here, failed, and actually third time here, and now this 4th time, and we continue to get rejected. Right now, price is at a critical point on this chart of MSTR. Will we then break this declining trend line again? If we do, we're likely coming down here to $283.29. If we maintain above this declining trend line at $325.60, we're likely going to be shooting up here to $380.11 up here on this inclining trend line. Next up, Ford. Now, Ford, they had some serious pressure today because they did have a fire. It was reported that there was a fire out of Novelis, which is their producer and supplier for aluminum. So this is going to delay production for Ford out until the middle or beginning of 2026. So with this news coming out, that wasn't great for investors. They immediately sold. But guys, we didn't need that fire to tell us that was about to happen. This longer term trend line, you can see here down from April of 2020, back in the day, so about 5 years ago, connected through this low pivot, and all this price action, price is simply retracing where it broke down from that trend line. Usually when it does it, it gets rejected like what we see here. Interesting how the technicals were pointing to something happening with Ford's manufacturing, revenue, etc., when price action hit this trend line, and that's exactly what happened. So next support, if selling continues, down here at $11.13, followed by $10.62. Next up, DraftKings has been under some serious pressure recently with the prediction market really exploding. Polymarket, Robinhood have started adding prediction events. There's going to be a slew of these companies coming out trying to capture on this opportunity, putting a dent in the activity on DraftKings. I think this could be a little bit overdone in the near term. Obviously, on the screen, you can see here the daily RSI is down at 14.87. First support I have on it is at $32.23, followed by $27.18. And if I rewind the clock out, you can see we've got a longer term inclining trend line from December of 2022 connected over to the low that occurred here in April of this year. We may be getting to the April lows, folks. Not a lot of stocks are retesting that low, especially ones that are popular and widely used by the public, such as DraftKings. So pretty interesting decline. Could be an opportunity for those that are interested in tucking this away till it has better days, potentially around the Super Bowl time, folks, when a lot of people are paying attention to sports betting, even people that don't really watch sports. Lastly, we've got HubSpot. Now, this is a CRM company dealing with customer relation software. And this also had a decent hit today, not as bad as what we saw in Onto, but the tech sector started showing some signs of stress. Now, we did have a nice bounce on Hubs back in August, had a beautiful bounce up, but in 2 days wiped that out and started putting in bearish consolidation. However, you see here, we're starting to work ourselves out of the RSI. We actually have a higher RSI on this most recent plunge, even though price got very close to where we did on the August lows. So that tells me this actually could have a chance of having a decent little bounce from this area. Now, it could be a small short-term swing trade, but this would be an area to stop out if price gets down under $417.57. If price does continue plunging through these trend lines, you'll have decent support down here just under $400 at $391, followed by down here at $321.94. All right, guys, that wraps up Trading the Close. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. A lot of activity, a lot of topping tails. We'll see where this takes us tomorrow. Can't wait to come back and give you guys the info. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the charts. Take care, folks.